Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can we stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is trying to stay warm in this nice balmy weather we've been having. I just want to remind the board that hopefully we will pass a budget tonight. Otherwise, we do have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow, if need be. Hopefully, we'll get through what we need to get through this evening. Is there any public participation? And would anyone like to speak tonight? Any sign-ups, Joe?
No.
Okay, moving forward. Any board members have any questions on the minutes? No. Okay, Joe, we have a notification of hire.
We do. We have Mary Kozan joining the English department at Massac in a couple weeks.
Okay, great. All right, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Dennis, seconded by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to the reports of the committees. Our students are studying very hard tonight for their midterms, so they have taken a pass on that. Do any board members have any committee reports? No? Wow. Okay, we're going to move forward. Joe, report of the superintendent.
Well, I think I have kept it light for the any questions about the budget. I think the only thing we have on there is review of the December fund activity statement. Kick it over if anyone has any questions for Ron.
Any questions? Dennis? That's a good one. Let's just start with everything that's been presented. I really do wholeheartedly love the intent that everybody put through it and the intensity. But I'm just wondering whether there's any way, or what a $175,000 cut could do for this budget from a percentage standpoint.
Hey, Dennis,
that's the next
let's hit that in the next one. Sorry. Just specifically about the fund activity statement that was set out. Yeah.
Okay.
No? Okay, then we're going to move to unfinished business, which is follow-up and Q&A of the 25-26 budget presentation. So, Dennis, finish your question.
What I said, no.
Go ahead.
What would a $175,000 hit, other than hurting us from what we know of, right? And, assuming we could do this somehow without hurting, buildings and maintenance and the positions that we've asked for to this point, what would $175,000 do to the percentage of what we're asking for?
So bring the increase from 6.02 to 5.78.
Correct. 5.78?
That was 175,000 reduction.
Now, the follow-up question, knowing what you know, I mean, I'll speak for me. I mean, the positions that were asked for and the individual departments that asked for what they needed seem to be spot on for what we need. Is there any latitude in what we have with any of the things we do that could get that kind of reduction? I guess the question is to you, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't think so. When the request originally came in, there was, I think, 14 and a half certified positions. We built it.
Right, and you lowered
we brought that all the way down to the the 3.9 or 3. What is it? 3.9 or 3. What are we at?
Yeah,
For new
3.4.
positions?
Yeah. The new positions. I know there was a lot of conversation with the assistant principal position at Stepney. I hope everyone had a chance to see. I sent it out ahead of time for folks. Some questions that had come in about the assistant principal position, and we looked at it there. And I think, Dennis, partially to answer your question is, a good start to look would be at like the evaluation process and just, what we're currently doing, and we're throwing a lot of resources there now. If you look at, we have central office staff going there, we have Massac staff going there for evaluations, Brian Horgan for athletics, Doy goes there for counseling. I think both Marissa and Jen go there to observe other special education teachers, which is, listen, that's what we do to pitch in to try to help out here. It's great. They all do an excellent job at what they do, but it's tough to not be, and the reason why I use that as an example, it's tough to not be in the building in the day-to-day to see the person.
Right.
So, how this would impact evaluation, just one subset of that. shows kind of the need for that. So,
Yeah, the vice principal position, you did a great job describing all the
Yeah.
functionality of that position. And we know each vice principal handles it differently, so I was wondering if there's any latitude to pick up some of that work with other individuals potentially and lower that burden. Not to say that we wouldn't need a vice principal, given the numbers, I heard it loud and clear. But, there are other functionalities, and I don't know whether other people could take some of that slack off, because given the numbers and given what we're projecting, the numbers of even special ed students being in that school, it's only going to be worse. And, when we approved the vice principal last time, I recall, maybe I'm wrong, we were going to kind of use that person as a crossover for other people and kind of assist like you do now with other positions. Is there any latitude in doing that with this position so we can not be at this next year for Monroe? Not that the enrollment's there, but
Yeah.
so we're not crossing this administrative burden every year. Who knows what the population will be, but given the numbers right now, it doesn't look like there's a need there, but maybe we can offset some of that need with this individual, speaking about that position specifically.
Dennis, could I just ask a clarifying question? What did you mean when you said vice principals do it differently?
Well, some greet buses, some do different functions within the litany of things that they mentioned about what they do. They handle it different ways, right? So maybe they have some other teacher handle some functions, or some, I mean, I can't get into specifics, they can, but, I've heard about different roles being covered by different individuals, like maybe there's some benefit that with this position or with existing positions.
So if I can ask a follow-up, so you're not, if I hear you wrong, please straighten me out here. You're
Now, let's
not,
start up the bat. Jerry hears me wrong. No, go ahead.
you're not advocating to cut this position. You're saying if Monroe L down the road needed somebody, could this person, am I reading you right? Am I hearing what you said?
With all those VP positions, there's the latitude that we can do from between different schools, doing the multiple functions that they talked about in a different manner, so we can be more efficient or effective with those roles. And we know the special ed is a big demand. It's only going to get worse
Right.
at this school.
Right.
Right. So I'm trying to look ahead, but also
No, I
be-
see what you're saying, but you weren't saying cut this one. You were saying, can we
I'm
use
not.
this one?
I'm not saying cut it. Yeah, I mean, like I started off, everybody who asked for positions, and what Joe cut it down to, I have no qualms that the need's there. My issue is, can we get different functionality out of these roles to get more efficient, so we can spread out administrative resources, as we do with other roles, right,
Yep.
amongst different schools, right? Before, our master plan comes up and we decide what we're doing with all the schools. But, it's a big ask. 6% is a big ask, right? I live in town, you guys live in town. It's a big ask, and, clearly it won't be that at the end, but we are not perfectly knowledgeable right now. We don't know what insurance is going to
Insurance
come
is.
in. We don't know what special ed is going to, we're not going to know those things until April, May, right? So we're asked to make a decision tonight based on what we've heard from all the different presentations, and I have no qualms about what's being asked for different. I'm just wondering, is there any way we can get under 6 somehow to present the market to the ultimate decision makers, which is going to be the town selectmen and the town council, to kind of lower that burden for the community, given all we've heard from all the different departments and all that asked. I mean, I don't know, you did a great job. We went down to paper clips, for Pete's sake. We were looking at color copies. I mean, is there any latitude we can get out of anything? We don't know. The other unknowns, although somewhat known, is number of retirees, right? We got Social Security's now kicking in. Maybe somebody else steps up. Maybe that gives us some latitude. Insurance, that's a wild card, and I think you guys got more information today, which makes me my acid indigestion even worse. But, is there any way we can do things differently to save anything at this juncture? Because I think I'm reading the board correctly, that everybody approves everything that they've won and met with committee members on, the staffing, the positions, the expenses, unless I'm reading the crowd wrong, which I could be. We'll have to go around, but, the requests were legit. So, it's a tough nut to crack tonight. in my-
Ron, can you let everybody know what you heard today about the insurance numbers?
So we won't get final numbers until early March, but right now for Fairfield County, we're looking at between 11 and 15% increase.
And we
Okay.
budgeted for 12.
And we're budgeted for 12.
I talked to our insurance broker this afternoon, and he said he was comfortable with where we were at the 12. But yeah, they did add they had told us budget between 10 and 12, and then on today's call, they added a 1%
Regional adjustment.
regional adjustment.
In Fairfield
for Fairfield County.
Yeah, has some counties have negative adjustments. Fairfield County, I think, had the only positive adjustment. It's 1%.
And we don't know what the special ed numbers are going to be, per se. We're hoping for what we're asking for, but others have budgeted for less, right? So it's another wild card that we don't quite know. Right.
Yep.
We know that we're getting 60% of that.
60.
Dropped, right? But we spent more money this year, so we're actually getting $961,000 back this year.
Many other districts are also only budgeting for 60% ECS. It's what in the chair emails statewide, because the state has been even unreliable at the 70%.
What was it
So-
last year?
Last year was 68.
68.
Yeah.
68 last year, now it's down to 60.
Yeah, and we budgeted 65? Right, because we're
But
not
they
sure
keep
of
giving
that.
us more mandates. And
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and 18% of the population.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, just
Yeah.
gets better.
I don't know how far it'll go, but I know there's a lot of, there's been, the bills being tracked right now, going through the legislature. There's several bills brought up about fully funding excess cost, and I know it's something we've talked about forever, lowering the threshold from 4.5 to 3 times, things of that nature. I mean, it's an issue all over the state, obviously, when they come in at 60%.
And that's a cost that we can't control.
No.
Right? I mean, the budget that we have to control is about $480,000.
469.
469.
Yeah.
That's all we can control. And I think we just have to, no one out there is saying what a great job the school systems are doing in an annual report. We saw the annual report that came out last week. It was all about the town, nothing about the education, the school system drawing kids and families to Monroe.
No, it was
That was a
worse.
huge miss.
It was worse.
And
It's
we ourselves.
we were cut so much, and then we got it back because of insurance payments.
Exactly.
So it
No,
wasn't,
but-
wasn't not
but Dennis,
endorsing
my
what
point is,
education is doing.
We need to get better at sharing with the public. Like, it's 6.02, but that's not the amount of money that we only have 460.
Right.
Like, that's it. That's the only money. And I look at that increase as
Negligible.
well, and it's a good investment. It's, we could ask for so much more. You know, many of us have done all the facility tours this year. We know what the schools need. I've been spending a lot of time in the classrooms. I'm doing Mass and STEM next week and likely Monroe L in February, and there's a lot of stuff that's needed.
No, I mean,
So to
and I
strap-
started off, our requests are legit.
They are legit.
We're trying to strengthen English, we're trying to strengthen math, we're
Yeah.
trying to do music, science, IT. I mean, we're doing
Absolutely.
everything support for the principals. I mean,
And we can't cut the maintenance. That's been.
the maintenance has
That's
been null and void
been
for
cut.
30 years. I mean,
Right.
if we cut that, we're insane.
So I think we have to really focus on. I mean, I'm good with it because it's.
I wasn't good with that report, talking about the
How it
selectmen's
did not
report in
include
regards
the
to
education.
not what education adds to the town.
Yeah.
So I do have an issue, and I'll bring it up to the right people. But
Yeah.
I am also, the way it was written was, I led you to believe he cut $1 million, and, by the way, I was right because they got $1 million back, which isn't quite fair because the insurance
Right, that
is
was
what,
the
you know,
insurance. Mhm.
that's gambling on something we have no knowledge of at this point. Matter of fact, it could get worse, right? It's just,
It's a big number, but we are 592,000 less than our ask last year.
Right.
Yep.
Than last year, which
And
is
that's what
huge.
scares me.
I would just, maybe I could throw Jeff on the hot seat, but in terms of, you talked
Jeff, you got
about,
money?
you talked about that report and if schools are drawing parents to the community, maybe
Yeah.
Jeff's comfortable, he's an
Look,
expert.
it's, I think there's no question that people are drawn here because of the education system, especially families. And, you know, it is only, what I can say is just, there's 14 houses for sale in Monroe right now, right? If that number were a lot more, and 6 of those are 55 plus. So if there was a lot more houses, I can guarantee you they'd be selling and more people would be coming. We're really lucky in a way that we're limited by inventory as to people coming, because the demand is still there. And that's when we did the facility stuff, when we were, questioning them there, I was concerned about the numbers, because we do have a number of potential developments
Down the
that
road,
are,
oh, yeah.
that are approved, okay?
And what school do they hit principally?
Fawn Hollow. So I just think that it's something that we have, and I know we are cognizant of it, and, because you're looking at, once you break grounds, and they'll usually do it in, it'll be a year process. So, and we know how the budget works, right? It might not line up with timing, so we just need to be prepared.
Alan, I can say my family, we moved here because of the schools. Yeah, I'm a product of the schools. It makes me great. But,
Makes you great.
It's not the only thing.
It's upsetting.
But no, we made the decision to come to Monroe for the schools. And my boys they're going to start in August and then the following August. That was the draw for us. It wasn't Great Hollow.
Yeah, I mean, that was the reason I moved here. My kids were getting ready for kindergarten. We took a good look at the school they would have went to, and we put a for sale sign up in our house and went right to Monroe. So same deal.
Yeah.
So I think, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
My concern is if we keep kicking the can down the road, right? So we waited, in my opinion, too long for Fawn Hollow. We're lucky that there was no issue there with 700 million kids and one administrator, right? So
Lucky she didn't quit.
Yeah.
I might have paid her on the side, but anyways.
Wait, we got an option.
No, I just think that we're lucky. You're right. We're lucky she didn't quit. And I'd hate to see us in that same position, in another elementary school. And for how many years did the budget come in at 1% or no percent? And I get that people want that and they're proud of that, but we didn't know this projection for this increase in enrollment was going to happen, and it's not happening in every town around us, but it's happening here. And if we don't start addressing it, we're going to find ourselves in trouble. And
And since COVID, we've added over 300 students.
right, it's insane. It's a whole school building.
It's a whole school building.
I
So
think for
thank
us,
you, Lee, for not
sorry.
quitting.
Just the assistant, I mean, that is the biggest ticket item that we really have to address, and it's the easy item. But I think what I'd like to maybe ask you, Joe, is it would be helpful maybe, at least for me, was there a rubric for you in deciding that this was a need for the specific to that position?
Yeah, and I had asked them to put together pretty comprehensive information for us. I think to me the biggest sells were obviously knowing that our greatest concentration of needs right now is at Stepney was really important, and then just looking around at the other schools in our DIRG and just seeing where we were compared to all of them. We were there was no one over. I forget, but I know there was 16 of 17 schools over 500 that had assistant principals. So I actually called the one that did not and said, hey, I noticed that you don't have one. She said, yeah, we're redistricting, so that school falls in line, because all their other schools were at 400, so they were redistricting to get that one in line with the other schools. So a rubric, not so much as just the qualitative information of, looking at the needs of the school and, what others around us are doing to address those kinds of needs.
And education isn't what it was, right? I mean, just the demands on principals are so much more than they were 5, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's a little,
What's that?
Psychosocial alone, let alone
Right,
special
yeah,
ed.
exactly.
it's an intense job.
It's intense.
Going to what Joe just said, Joe, I believe the initial staff request was 16 and a half staff. You said 14 certified.
14 and a half.
And, yeah, 14 and a half, and, he whittled that down to present to us the 4 and a half that he wants. So I think it's our responsibility to trust that. And I think we need to look at, need versus number. What does what does CABE tell us all the time? We should be focused on student achievement. Obviously, we're all concerned with the number. It's a high number. It certainly is. I had a conversation with the first selectman. He's concerned with the number. We have to understand that he has to put the town side onto this. The reevaluation is very concerning, obviously. It's bad timing. So he has a tough job to do as well as town council, the Board of Finance. I have had some side conversations with the Board of Finance as far as an insurance contingency to do that and set some money aside, and also discuss using some of the special ed reserve money in case that's needed. Those ideas were well received, but they can't do anything until they actually get the budget.
Right.
So unfortunately, we have to pass our budget tonight with a $1.2 million crystal ball of benefits, and it has to go through the process of the first selectman, town council, and Board of Finance. So, we will continue. We have a great rapport with all of those bodies. We'll continue to work with them and see how that process comes out. So I've had those discussions. They're open to doing that stuff if the need be, which is very encouraging from their standpoint. I would love to get the number down, lower than 6% like everybody here. We're all taxpayers. We understand it. Our schools have grown, and they're only growing. It's only going to get bigger and bigger. The other thing I wanted to tell the board is that if we're aiming for a number, then I think next year we should give that number to Joe in October.
Yeah.
Because I think at the 11th hour to say to him, hey, Joe, this is where we want you to be, is a little unfair. We all want it to be below 6. Dennis, we're with you.
I got you.
But I think if that's how we're going to budget, we have to do that.
And I'd like to go around the table.
Yep.
5.9 is below 6.
This is, it is. This is a needs, my opinion, this is a needs-based budget. Everybody did the yeoman's job to give us a needs-based, not a want-based budget, a needs-based budget. And I, for one, say, this yeoman's job, great done. I'd love to approve it entirely. And, I'd like to go around the room, see if I think I've got the feeling of the room, but, I'd go around. Do you guys want to approve this budget as is?
I have looked at it like all of you, extensively, inside out, and there are no frills. There is no little fluff account. The administrators, the staff did a yeoman's job of educating our children. And it's exactly what I'd love it under 6.2. Am I comfortable with this? I agree with you, Greg. I am comfortable with this. I agree with you, Chrissy. It's not going to get better, and we can't kick the can down the road. And yeah, I'd like it at 5.5, but it's not reality.
I got you.
It's not what our students need, our staff needs, and our administrators, our parents, and our community. So after looking at it, and I just did it again, going page after page, geez, Dennis, I'm
with you. Given what we want to do for English and for history and for music and arts and IT,
Yep.
I agree. Yeah, Alan, any difference?
No, I think it's definitely needed, especially the assistant principal. Like I said 1,000 times, I don't know how that building is being run without one. It doesn't.
Nothing against you, Ashley.
Yeah, nothing against you, but it's obviously there's people from central office coming down there to help manage it. I mean, you just can't do it. It's an impossible job for one person to do. I work in a district where the assistant principals go in 1 or 2 hours early, and they all say the same thing. An early day for them is 6 p.m. The kids get out at like 3:30. Early day. It's a lot of work. It's not just calling parents or anything like that. It's overseeing the curriculum, overseeing the reading program, meeting with grade level meetings, going over it, because we're always talking about collecting data. Well, you got to do something with the data, and the grade level meetings sit down, disseminate the data. This student needs help. What are we going to do? And you do that with each grade level. PPT meetings alone, I can't. Wow, so there's 80 students getting services. Was there like, I don't know, 100 and 30 PPTs a year, maybe,
We wish.
and probably at least an hour long. I mean, it's an endless list of stuff to do. So.
The reason I had asked Joe that question I did about the rubric is, you know, if this is the position, and really the one item that we're debating, you know, if it's not this year, then what year is it going to be? Because I don't see any way, shape, or form that this position will have to happen. Where the district is growing, and you know, the more kids, the harder it's going to be on our principals. So, you know, that would be the question I would ask if someone was deciding that position specifically. If not now, then when?
I support the position.
All the positions, everything. that we've asked for.
Yeah, I know.
Agreed.
And specifically the assistant principal.
Yeah,
The-
I mean, if we're just going to drop it to 5.9 just for optics, it doesn't make sense to me.
Patty,
Right.
Yeah.
then we're looking at a number and not need.
Well,
Again, there's no frill in
and
it.
it's also the field of unknowns, right? We don't know what insurance is, we don't
Right.
know what specials we're actually going to get. So there's a lot of unknowns. So I think, you know, our ask is our ask. And I think as it sits right now, what I'm hearing, that's the ask.
Right, it's at a point in
Christine.
time, right? Right now, this is our ask.
Right.
2 months from now, things change drastically, and you have a better idea. But for right now, this is what we need. There's no frill in it. This is all needed.
Last year, last year I was a lot more comfortable with the insurance we were going through. We were doing a lot of work with our insurance broker at the time, so I thought we'd have a pretty significant savings there at some point. And we were able to, you know, we did have a big savings there. I don't have that same optimism this year with the information we've been getting so far. So to your point, yeah, there's a lot of unknowns still. So.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
That's
That's
next segment.
The next is next, isn't it next?
Don't take Jerry's motion to adjourn. Now, you can't do that.
Jerry?
No, Jeff. Point of order.
You know, in looking at the numbers, when we're talking about the assistant principal position, with Dennis, the question that you posed to Ron, that is 0.24% of a $75 million budget. You know, I see the need too. I don't like the number either, but I see the need. And I think the more that this board dives into the 2,000 line items, that we meet with the department heads, we're all getting educated more and more and more, and we're into the weeds. The other thing, once we get to new business, we can pass this budget as is. We can always have further discussions with the Board of Finance that if, you know, what are we going to do if the insurance numbers come out higher or at the 12?
Right.
You know, we're hoping they're going to come down lower. So do we work with the Board of Finance at that point in April, May, or whatever to work with them to reduce it? Because that's certainly our option to do that as well.
And that's something we
It's almost like an
definitely do.
asterisk on
Well,
the,
there's a Board of Ed workshop in April. I think they have a Board of
Right,
Finance.
but already, he would have already moved this along.
Yeah, right, no, I know.
right, but nothing says that in April we can't
Revisit.
work with the Board of Finance or make a motion
Yeah.
to reduce the budget. If we come in at a 13, insurance-wise, you know, we're going to be over $1.2 million in just one line item for benefits. And it would be in our interest to work with the Board of Finance unless they come up with something more creative. You know, the reserve funds, I think we'll be looking at all of that, right, Steve? I mean, we'll be looking at everything, you know, everything at our disposal. But nothing says that we can't change the budget prior to passage. It gives us an option to see how things go.
I appreciate having the conversation, though. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, yeah. Any further discussion?
I
ahead,
would ask, Ron, can you lay out the timeline of events from the passage of the budget on our end to First Selectman to Board of Finance, and when you find out really the true numbers that we're actually dealing with, you know, perspective?
As far as insurance goes?
Yeah.
Okay, we're expecting the final numbers early March. At that point, the budget is either still with the town council or being passed off to the Board of Finance.
It's March 15th is when
March 15th is
Pass the Board
when
of
the
Finance.
council passes it off to the Board of Finance. So the first selectman's budget goes to council on February 8th.
Yep.
They have it until March 15th. March 15th to April 21st, I believe. It's
So to what degree will the first selectman have, he'll have the same numbers as we do, as
They're also in the state partnership plan, so
Yes.
the same
understanding
increase
of what
that's
the
happened
numbers
to us,
are?
yeah.
For insurance.
For insurance.
And then the Board of Finance will have the actual numbers that we are dealing with.
Yes.
When it comes to
But they may not by March 15th. We really don't.
maybe not by March 15th. By the time
It leaves them.
it leaves them, they
Oh,
should
yeah,
have final.
yeah.
So yeah, it's tough because even the first selectman's got to put a budget out with,
A lot of
projections, yeah.
That's operating. Can I move to capital just for 1 minute? We had a prior discussion about, under the capital improvement plan for 25-26, the Massic Video Board. I know there was a little asterisk on there for if we can obtain sponsors.
Yeah,
But
the
how much
funding
of that is foundation work that would be on us versus the actual video board? Because I think it's the intent of this board to find sponsors for the actual TV, but then we would chip in to do the groundwork. So,
the 120 that's in here was for the groundwork.
okay.
The video board itself would be through Power Ad and the fundraising efforts with them. But I think we talked about the 120 for this being work that we work with our booster club and other groups to raise that 120 because
Right, because we have to put in the
we had said-
stanchions and all
yeah,
that.
yeah. Originally we had said we did not want to be using, town
Okay.
funds for that.
Okay, going to Jockey Hollow, I think everybody thanks you for moving the AC up to 26, 27. I think that's reasonable.
And you see up there we added
we see
in
the
the
we see the
75.
plug in there to get the engineering assessment. Can Silver Petroselli help us with that, since they've already done a lot of
I
work?
think that's the idea. And that's who we reached out to give us a ballpark for that assessment.
Dan, you're good
knowing
with that?
Some of that.
Yeah.
And that, sorry,
No.
and that's timed with the bonding of the new roof?
Oh, thank you for bringing that
So-
up. Yeah, that got approved tonight.
So we've talked about this a little bit, and so it's a great point. What we would do is do this assessment, and if anything, we would probably do the roof first. And, no.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
the roof
The roof
first.
needs to be prepped for the
But
air.
it needs to
right?
be, yeah, we didn't want to retrofit. We want to make sure that I'm sorry, was it the roof? No, let's do the AC first. This way, do the AC first.
Yeah.
And then the roof, because we don't want to put something on that could compromise the roof, or something happens and they say, well, yeah.
You
well,
voided the warranty
you
'cause
voided
you
the warranty
couldn't.
because you just mess with it.
So
it'd be so it could possibly be doing the
We're
AC
comfortable with
first.
flipping that.
We could be possibly flipping that work. That was done, yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
And that doesn't change anything that was approved.
Right, but we also don't want to put in a roof, spend 1.8 or 1.3, and then
Yeah.
say the air isn't going to fit on it,
Exactly.
right?
Or have a problem with the roof and the roofing company
Okay.
say, well, you put air conditioning on top of it afterward.
Any other feedback from board members on the capital plan?
Is that $1 million a plug number, Dan, or is that an actual estimate?
It's a plug.
You feel confident in that?
What's that? Do I feel confident? Definitely not.
He's an honest man. I think we'll need to refine that
Yeah,
based
right.
on the assessment,
Is
right?
Silver Petroselli, is that something that they can help us with?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely, that'll be part of their assessment.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, would you be in charge of trying to find some grant money that may have offset this cost, or at least the installation?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna look into it, for sure.
That's the whole point of it, is to get shovel ready so that we can
Yeah.
apply for those state grants.
Yeah.
Anything else on capital? No? We're good with that? Okay. So whatever motion we make will include the capital as it is too, right?
Okay.
Right, board? Everybody's comfortable with that? Alan, are you good? I think we're
Yeah.
good. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to new business, which is the adoption of the 25-26 Board of Education budget with a vote anticipated. Do I have any motions on the floor? Dennis?
Make a motion that we approve it, given the knowledge we have today, knowing that, things will change in the future, but, approve it as is.
Okay, I have a motion to adopt the 25-26 Board of Education as presented. Do I have a second? Alan seconds. Any further discussion?
I just want to thank, once again, the principals and the directors that are here for all their work, and
Yeoman's
Ron, Sheila,
100%.
Mike, Jen, Marissa, for working on Saturdays and all hours of the night to get this thing together. And then all of you for meeting with each of them and getting a really deeper understanding of each of the areas. I think that's been a really powerful thing as we work through this process. So, and I thank you all for the discussion tonight, too.
Any further discussion, questions, comments on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor, keep your hands up. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's unanimous. Any noes? No, the motion passes. Joe, you have a budget. Temporarily. Temporarily.
Like a week.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. We're going to move on to B, policies first review.
Yeah,
Christine,
this
you want to
is-
take us through
Yeah,
these?
this is just legal references with cave language updated to the 400 series.
I saw that. That's what it
Yeah,
looked like.
that's all
looked
it
like
was.
language.
Yeah, there wasn't, there's not a lot of deep. That's all it was. So we'll
Okay.
vote on that at the next one.
Okay, I don't see Sue here, but Joe, she's aware of these, or yeah, thanks, Sheila, make sure she's, yeah, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Then we will not have a budget workshop tomorrow night. That meeting is canceled for tomorrow at 6:30. Our next meeting will be Monday, February 3rd. Mr. Stevens.
Mr. Chair, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Stevens. Can I have a second by Greg? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Hey, Ron, just quick.
Thank you, everybody.